Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2 has its new patch coming sometime late March, early April with patch 7.0, and with it we'll be getting a new weapon, the Inferno pistol. But in addition to that, we won't be getting a new weapon, we'll also be getting weapons that currently exist on some classes added into others. So in this video today, I'm going to be playing a heavy class with a heavy bolt rifle, an Inferno pistol, and talking about the new Prestige perks that are going to be activated in the game come 7.0. Now, my typical fashion of upfronting the knowledge of my videos, let me give you the down and dirty of what I'm going to talk about. So just an upfront here, the heavy bolt rifle doesn't really play awesomely on the heavy class in the highest difficulty. It plays better in the difficulties outside of highest, but it just doesn't have the power that the other heavy weapons have, or it doesn't have the tactical aspects to take advantage of, whereas I think the heavy bolt rifle is quite fun and good on the tactical. So that's the down and dirty review of the heavy bolt rifle on the heavy class. Basically, I'd take any other heavy weapon over the heavy bolt rifle on heavy. Inferno pistol is really good and now presents itself as a true contender of options for your secondary when playing on heavy. And lastly, the new Prestige perks just really don't bite or hit home with the class. It feels like they're really lackluster. It doesn't allow you to play that quote unquote heavy intercessor that I had really dreamed about playing when I made this video. But that's the down and dirty of everything I'm going to be getting into. Of course, I'm going to start expanding on that and everything past this point. But if that's all you wanted to know, please feel free to shut the video down. You can jump ahead to any point of the video that interests you the most using the chapters in the timeline or the description below. Also, if you are heading out, please don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe if you enjoyed this video or if the content in this video was helpful for you. But let's get started here on the heavy intercessor heavy in Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2. Loading into the game, let's take a look at our loadout. So to start off here, we're going to be using the heavy bolt rifle. That is the name of the game for this build. And we're going to be using the new Inferno pistol. Now with our perk tree, I've tried to leverage the new perks that we get access to prestige ranks from heavy. So we have charge attack damage increased by 25%. Melee kills of extremists reload our secondary weapons mag by 1. When your armor is fully depleted, you take 25% less health damage. And melee damage increased by 100%. This plays along with this one right here for melee damage of 30%. We're getting increased mags from our team skill. And then we're going to go with something like Ox ammunition. When your primary weapon is out of ammo, killing 10 enemies in rapid succession restores ammo reserved by 20%. I'm just going to quickly show off the rest of these. 30% health. When your Iron Halo expends all, you get 1 segment for the entire squad, armor segment. Iron Halo durability. I couldn't really decide between the 3 of these because I was just kind of bouncing around trying things out, but that one's kind of dealer's choice. Brute force, when Iron Halo is on cooldown, range damage increased by 50%. And lastly, when your Iron Halo is active, all squad members within 20 meters regenerate their ability charge. So that is our perk situation. Let's now go into our weapons. So for our heavy bolt rifle, we went with the Cathalamor Crusade Alpha. This gives us good accuracy, good range, and decent magazine size. You might want to consider this one instead. The reason I went with a better accuracy, though, is because that does reduce the spread. So a higher accuracy is going to allow us to have a better spread, so we're not going to have to deal with basically bullet spraying and losing a lot of shots. But we do get 5 more bullets in mag with 20 more in reserve. That is nice to take advantage of. But we will be using all the perks that take advantage too of all the ammo. Now I did go with the headshot perks initially and to see how they would perform, and just the way that this weapon plays, and if you're playing on the hardest difficulty, which I was testing this weapon on, the headshots just weren't getting me enough value. So I went more with more of a bullet spraying approach here. So mag size increase, health dropping and getting restored mags, max spread decrease, more max spread, damage increase against Terminus, which is whatever. I just wanted to get for more max ammo reserve. Then we came up here for headshot damage, over to getting an armor segment whenever we kill a Majoris level or higher with a headshot required. When your health is 30% lower, increase health by 10%. Penetration, more magazine, and also damage increase by 10%. To try to pull out as much as we can damage-wise and as much ammunition as well. And for our Inferno pistol, we have some fun things you can take a look at here. So the 2 at the very end are a range 4 2-shot version or a range 1 3-shot version. It's up to you. You can make the decision for yourself. And when we jump into our perk tree, I was playing around with both versions to see what I liked more. I ended up going with this one because the range wasn't too crucial since I had a ranged weapon. But there's a really interesting perk in this. There it is. There it is. It's called One Shot. Damage is increased by 50%, but this weapon's magazine holds only one cartridge with heavy control. So this could be an interesting playstyle to use, but since I'm playing a heavy, it just really felt that I wanted more out of this weapon than it just being a single shot, basically a single shot killer. And I didn't want to have to deal with that. You could probably have a lot of fun with that though, going with some of the things that will automatically reload your secondary. So consider that if you're thinking about picking up your Infernal pistol. But we increased our range here. We went with your immune to heavy hits while reloading, effective range increase again, damage increase against Terminus, max ammo reserve increase when your health is below 30%, way to get more ammo back, and then magazine increase by an additional cartridge. So we kind of balanced out what we're dealing with cartridge-wise by losing one. And then killing 5 enemies with one shot restores one armor segment. So I wanted the ability to basically use this to farm armor in 30-second intervals. So now that we've talked about all this, let's go into some gameplay and give you my impressions. So I'm going to be showing off some clips here of me playing alongside Indie Pride from Milk and Cookies Total War. We're just having some fun in the highest difficulty playing through this. Now, I did do one match that wasn't on the highest just to kind of, warm up the old bones, but all of my play was done on that highest. And as just a disclaimer here, this is a patch that's on a work in progress, so that might have some issues with my impressions here. But my initial impressions of this weapon, and specifically the heavy perks, is not overly positive, I guess you could say. I think that the weapon feels awkward on a class that has so many better weapons. I know this plays into that heavy intercessor that a lot of people field on tabletop. It's a cool model in general, but I think that it fits in a weird spot where in this game, I'm going to want to go with the crazy punching power of a multi-melta. I'm going to want to go with the destructive capability of the plasma incinerator, whatever the heavy plasma is. I always get them confused between that and the tactical version. And the just shredding capability of the heavy bolter. Using this, I didn't feel very strong in a lot of places. And I wanted this to feel like more of a run and gun. I felt great against hordes. And I felt in the first difficulty that I tested this, I was like, oh, this is good. But I think the problem is the heavy bolt rifle here exists on a character that cannot pull the damage advantage that a tactical can. When I use this weapon on tactical, I love it. It's so fun. It gives me big ammo, big damage, big thunky shots of bolt rifle action. But then I can use a tactical aspect scan on anything that's a hard target, or even just a bunch of Majoris, to get a lot more damage on target, even stacking with the headshot perks, which I initially went with. I was like, you know what? Headshot's gonna want to be king here. But with the accuracy I had and the headshot perks, I still just wasn't doing enough damage to Majoris to make it feel like this weapon was worth taking over any of the other ones. Now, keep in mind, like I've said, I'm playing this on the hardest difficulty, and playing it on just 2 difficulties down, I was having a way better experience. So if you're not playing on the hardest difficulty, just disregard what I'm saying and just play the fucking game how you want and enjoy yourself. Who cares if I'm saying it's not great on the highest difficulty if you're not even playing on that difficulty? Because that's the biggest thing here, is so many things enrage. So you might be getting a lot of really good shots on, you're getting headshots in, you've put them down to damn near execute, but then they enrage because they went to do a call-in or whatever, and boom, now they're back to full health and they've got massive DR. So it wasn't able to do the damage in the time frame I needed it to do to actually capitulate something or kill it all the way through to allow me to like, okay, cool, it's done, I can move on to the next target. I kept having to reload and put more shots in and put more shots in, and that was frustrating. But when it came to dealing with hordes, I felt like a laser gun. For some reason, this weapon just feels like it auto picks out heads. Like I just press a button and oh, there's the red reticles of you doing a headshot and a kill. Boom, boom, boom. And I'm just popping gaunts left and right. So that felt very fun and really cool, which I mean, I enjoy that the most of the gun. And it's something I've enjoyed about the heavy bolt rifle in general, is it always feels really cool to kill your way through hordes of things in ways that the heavy bolter doesn't even feel like. So there's that is worth noting for sure. And using the Inferno pistol was cool because Inferno pistol did give me a little bit of a stagger mechanic when I was fighting against any of these majorists that I just could not take down with the heavy bolt rifle. So using that, the Inferno pistol was really cool. It added a lot of cool punching power to the class, especially in close ranges, which is what, it's not that the heavy suffers in close range, it's that it just feels so canned in short range. Okay, I'm going to charge double slam my legs over and over and over and knock things over, and then get a gun strike and knock things over and get a gun strike. So it feels like when things kind of break down to the tumult of melee, you just don't feel like you're doing anything outside of just slamming the ground a bunch of times. And that doesn't feel as cool. With the Inferno pistol, I felt like I had more control in melee situations with the heavy. So not for me, while the heavy bolt rifle is not going to feel like much of a contender when it comes to larger or harder difficulties, the Inferno pistol now, for me, is a bit more of a contender, depending upon my comp. What kind of map are we doing? Is it Tyranid heavy? Is it not? Am I going to be able to take advantage of an Inferno bolt pistol on a Tyranid heavy map versus not? You know, like those things to kind of consider. Because now it's not, I don't think it's better than the plasma pistol, because the plasma pistol is just so damn good. But I think that it sits in a really fun place now where I can get a lot of advantage out of it. And I don't feel like the plasma pistol is an auto pick for every single situation as the heavy. So there are those two facts across the primary, well, the new quote unquote primary for heavy, the new secondary being added with the Inferno pistol. But now let's talk about the Prestige. Everything like the hardest pause right there, right? Everything I tested was fun and good and great when it came to the primary and secondary. Even the fact like, oh yeah, I'm not killing things like I want to, but at least I'm kind of having fun because I'm just chunking stuff apart with a bolter. I wanted to be this heavy intercessor type of character that gets up close and personal and headbutts things and melees things and just punches his way to victory. But it doesn't click in with the way the heavy is constructed. I thought all those prestige perks, I was for sure going to be the belle of the ball. But the problem is, one big part of melee is being able to use fencing, or at least parrying. And you can parry. You've got a balanced parry weapon, essentially, right? Like, I'm sure under the hood of it, it's a balanced. And maybe there's been some metadata leak, and it actually is, hey, we looked at the files. Your heavy melee weapon, quote unquote, is actually fencing. Whatever. So if I'm wrong there, please let me know in the comment section. But I think the problem is that it's too clunky to use the melee like melee on the heavy. You just basically have to revert back to doing your charge slams, which is fine. Those count as heavy, but they don't do enough dedicated damage because they're AoE charge slams. I'm not sitting there slamming into something's face repeatedly with a power fist or with a power sword or with a thunder hammer. I'm slamming my foot on the ground and doing AoE damage. It's like the difference between doing a bunch of charge slams on the thunder hammer versus doing dedicated lunging strikes and a full set combo with a big finisher with the thunder hammer, right? You have more to take advantage of. So the heavy prestige perks, I think, just really suck. I think it's what makes heavy as a prestige class kind of blow right now. And I think, we're still in testing. We still have plenty of time to hopefully get adjustments to those, maybe either make them more impactful or to not have all of them be heavy. And I think all of them be melee centric, because I think that's the problem here. There's 2 or 3 prestige perks that are not melee centric. And even the ones that aren't, they're like, okay, whenever you use your Iron Halo, you remove a status effect. Okay. That one doesn't really jump out to me as one that I'm like, okay, cool, an auto pick. And the other 2, again, are more on the lackluster side. Whereas I look at the Assault, they get something like a 15% increase to their health. Cool. That's a big problem I've had with Assault. I immediately like this. Or they get a bunch of ones that jump in with their perfect dodge or with their jump packs. Great. The Tactical gets a whole bunch of stuff that has increased range damage, increased health, or increased Auspex scan capabilities. Like if you miss it, the cooldown is faster, or I think it's an auto reset immediately. Whatever it is, you get a lot more of cool, fun things that turn the class on or help shore up its weaknesses. These prestige ranks don't shore up the weaknesses, which is melee of heavy, in a way where I feel like they're reliable. I didn't feel any different with my melee from the times where I was playing without these prestige ranks and with the prestige ranks. To be fair, I have not been able to play without prestige ranks on this patch, right? So this could be that statement I just made could be entirely erroneous if I'm able to test it on live when I don't have those prestige ranks, right? So that could shift my opinion greatly. But as it stands right now, the dream I had of a heavy intercessor, melee, heavy bolt rifle style of heavy class just doesn't really come online because the heavy bolt rifles damage potential in the highest difficulty is not necessarily rewarding. But as I said again, it is pretty decent in the second highest difficulty. I can't remember. It's not ruthless, right? It's absolute, then ruthless, then rock'em sock'em robots. They keep making new ones every 3 months. And the Inferno pistol, it feels like a very good step for the class. It does suck that the Inferno pistol is only limited to 3 classes and it is not on the assault, but that is my feedback of the gamut of things that the heavy is getting. Now, I'm not going to be doing this for every single class. I decided to do it for heavy because I think it's the one that people have had the most question marks about, revolving its prestige ranks, how the heavy bolt rifle is going to play, and just the Inferno pistol in general. So if you would like to see more of these style of videos about specific things that you're worried about with the patch, go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. I'm happy to do it, but by and large, I'm going to be saving, not my playtime, but I don't want to burn myself off on the test server when I have to go through all the prestige ranks when they go live, right? Like I'm going to actually want to do that and have it actually practically contribute towards my progression rather than play it lost to time in a test server. So as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.